Hello students, let's do lines and angles exercise 16b. Exercise 16b is on page number 192. Question 5. Which pair of the dotted line segments in the following figures are parallel? Give reasons. Okay, so now we have to find out among these pairs of dotted lines which of these are parallel, and we have to give reasons. Now we have learned that when a transversal cuts two lines, whether they are parallel or non-parallel, 8 angles are formed. And if they are parallel lines, there are certain properties, and we learned about the different types of angles and which are the angles that are equal, which are the angles that are supplementary. If the pair of lines are parallel. So here we are going to find out if these two lines are parallel. Now two angles have been given. So when this transversal cut these two lines, two angles here are formed, and these are called the co-interior angles. And if the lines are parallel, what is the property? The property is when two lines are parallel, co-interior or allied angles are supplementary. That means they must equal 180. So when I add up these two angles, they should add up to 180. Let's do that. Let's add up 120 degrees and 50 degrees. 120 plus 50 is 170 degrees. This is not equal to 180 degrees. That means these two lines are not parallel. If they were parallel, when I add up these two, it should add up to 180 degrees. As you can see, when we added them up, it added up to only 170 degrees. So now we can say these two lines are not parallel. The given pair of dotted lines are not parallel. Question 2. Now here again we have a pair of lines. We have to find out whether they are parallel or not. This has been cut by a transversal and we have two angles given. Now are these two angles related in any way? Do we have names for them? Now if you look carefully, we can't call them any names. That means we need the help of another angle here. So with the help of another angle, we can say if they are parallel or not. Now there are many ways of finding. Now we have 135 here and we can have, remember this is a corresponding angle, they can be equal. So this will be 135, or we can say interior alternate angles are equal and make this angle 135 degrees. Or we can say 45 degrees and this angle are a linear pair of angles, they add up to 180, and then with the help of that we can find. So you can use different ways of finding. Here in this case, let's use this property. Linear pair is 180. So that means let me find this angle. I have 45. Let me find this angle. Let's name this angle 1. There are different ways of finding. Let's name this angle 1. So angle 1, to find angle 1, since they are a linear pair of angles, I have to say 180 degrees minus 45 degrees. Together they should give me 135. So let me minus these two and see what I get. 180 degrees minus 45 degrees. So here let's borrow. So this is 7, 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 4 is 3 and 1. So I have 135 degrees. That means my angle here, I have found it out to be 135 degrees. Now this is a help angle that we got. Now let's see what relationship these two angles have. As you can see, they are interior alternate angles. That means when two lines are parallel, the interior alternate angles will be equal. So here are they equal? Here I have 135, here I have 135. That means these two lines are parallel. Okay, so we can write that the given pair of dotted lines are parallel because here we have one angle as 135 degrees and the other interior alternate angle is also 135 degrees. So this is one way of finding out. You can use any of the different methods that I said. Here you can also add up these two, 45 degrees and 135 degrees, or you can use any of the other methods. Question 3. So here we have one dotted line and here we have another dotted line. We need to see if they are parallel. So these two lines are cut by a transversal and these two angles are given to us. These angles are corresponding angles. Now, if these two lines are parallel, then there is a very important property of corresponding angles. What is that? When two lines are parallel, corresponding angles are equal. So if these two lines are parallel, that means these two corresponding angles should be equal. But as you can see, one is 120 degrees and the other is 130 degrees. So 120 degrees is not equal to 130 degrees. That means these two lines, the given pair of dotted lines is not parallel. This pair of lines is not parallel. Question 4. So we have a transversal here and two dotted lines. We need to find out if these dotted lines are parallel lines or not. So let's use the angles given to us. So we have one angle here and one angle here, but there is no relationship between these two angles. That means we need the help of another angle. So we can do it in different ways. Now I can say that this is adjacent angle. I can find out this angle because they are a linear pair, or I can find this angle and make it a linear pair, and with the help of that I can find the other angle also. So here what we're going to do is we're going to consider this to be a linear pair of angles. So let this be angle 1. So linear pair, that is 110 and angle 1 together should add up to 180 degrees. So let's do that. Angle 1 plus 110 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. That means to find angle 1, what should I do? I should say 180 degrees minus 110 degrees, which is 70 degrees. That means angle 1 is 70 degrees. So we have 70 degrees here. So now look at this angle and this angle. This is 70 and this is 70. And what angles are these? They are interior alternate angles. What is the property of interior alternate angles with regard to parallel lines? When two lines are parallel, the interior alternate angles are equal. So here we have this 70 and this is also 70. That means the interior alternate angles are equal. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the two lines, dotted lines that are given here are parallel lines. This pair is parallel. So the given pair of dotted lines is parallel. Question 5. Now here we have many lines. Line 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we have to see how many pairs of dotted lines there are. So first let's take lines 1 and 2. So here you can see that they are inside, isn't it? Co-interior. As you can see, they are co-interior angles. What is the property of co-interior angles? When two lines are parallel, the co-interior angles or allied angles are supplementary. That means they must add up to 180 degrees. So let's see that. Let's add up 70 degrees plus 100 degrees is equal to 170 degrees. It's not adding up to 180 degrees. That means lines L1 and L2 are not parallel. So lines L1 and L2 are not parallel because the two co-interior angles did not add up to 180. That is the reason. Now let's look at lines 3 and 5. So we have this dotted line, line 3, and this is the other dotted line, line 5, and we have angles given there. So when two lines are parallel, the corresponding angles are equal. So these two are corresponding angles. So one angle is 80 and the other angle is 70. So that means they are not parallel, isn't it? So 80 degrees and 70 degrees, they are not equal to each other. So these corresponding angles are not equal. That means lines L3 and L5 are not parallel to each other. So we found out about lines 1 and 2. Then we found out about lines 3 and 5. Now let's also take lines 2 and 4. If I extend this and extend this, then I will get two more lines, two more dotted lines. So let's look at that. So here I have these two lines. Now let me take only this part of this figure separately so that you're not confused with too many lines. Let me only take these two lines. So if I take those two lines, this is what I'm getting. Okay, so now look at these two lines. So if I extend this line here or I extend this line, there are two lines, isn't it? Two dotted lines. Now here, look at the angles inside. Okay, so here I have one angle out there, the other angle here. So how do I find this? I need to get the help of one more angle. So linear pair. So I can get this angle here. So let me name this angle. So this angle is what I can get here. So this I can name it as angle 1. Let me name it as angle 1. So 100 degrees and angle 1 together should give me 180 degrees because these two are a linear pair. They're on a same straight line. They're a linear pair of angles. So let me add that up and see what we get. 100 plus angle 1 should give me 180 degrees. So to find angle 1, I say 180 degrees minus 100 degrees. So 180 minus 100 is 80 degrees. So this is now 80 degrees. Now look carefully and see what property can you apply. Can we use this angle and this angle, these two angles? So now it's clear, isn't it? These two angles here. Now what angles are these? They have now become interior alternate angles. So what is the property of interior alternate angles for parallel lines? When two lines are parallel, interior alternate angles are equal. That means they should be equal. As you can see, this is 80 degrees and this is also 80 degrees. That means they are equal. So we have 80 degrees for one angle and 80 degrees for the other angle, and they are both interior alternate angles and they are equal. So what does that mean? Lines L2 and L4 are parallel. So here we have a pair of parallel lines and you can see the two angles inside. You can consider any one of these lines that I've cut it. Now, as you can see, they are interior alternate angles. Angle 40 and angle 50 are two interior alternate angles. And what is the property of interior alternate angles with regard to parallel lines? When two lines are parallel, interior alternate angles are equal. But here, as you can see, one is 50 degrees and the other is 40 degrees. They are not equal. So we can write that. So 50 degrees and 40 degrees are not equal to each other. That means this given pair of dotted lines is not parallel. The given pair of dotted lines is not parallel. We will stop with this for now, children. In our next video, we will continue with the remaining questions. Thank you, children.